Okay. Hello, this is Chris Strickland, and we are here for the 10th anniversary of the very first live hangout. I believe it was for my birthday in 2014. A few days off, but it's still the 10th anniversary. Crystal Lynn and Carolyn Mayberry could not make it tonight, unfortunately. Carolyn might drop in. Crystal will not be here, but we have Walter Rice here and we have Penny here. And yeah, so Walter, if you don't know who Walter is, Walter has helped me uh, write a lot of great or co-write a lot of great astrology songs on my previous zodiology albums. And he's just been a great friend to the community and he contributes what he does, and we love him for that.
Thank
And
you, Chris.
you're welcome. And Penny is an active astrologer, and Penny is currently, I mean, your business is still going, I assume,
Yeah, it's
Penny.
still going.
Okay. And we will leave a link if you want to get services from Penny. She's a great astrologer. She's always very committed to it. And I am even shocked that she's still in the game because so many people have fallen out. Uh, and as far as me, if you don't know who I am, I'm Chris Strickland. Not to sound braggy, but I believe I was the first person to compose or write a full length pop album of astrology signs.
Yeah, as
I'll
far as
say,
I knew, he was. Yeah.
yeah, I was the first one to make it official. Um, in 2014. So, and then I followed up with more and more of them. And I do uh, Archangel, Angel Intuitive stuff. I can really connect with angels if you need help with that. I don't really offer services anymore, but I will if you want any. You can contact me personally. I don't have a site set up anymore, just because life, you know. And yeah, so that's
You're an eighth
us.
house Leo, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so eighth house Leo, eighth house is associated with mediumship abilities, and Leo is like really warm, happy, loving light energy. So that's a great placement for someone to communicate with angels.
Yes, yes. The only problem was, and the reason why I kind of fell back from it, one of the reasons was what we were talking about previously, the psychic attack. Uh, I don't know what's going on in this day and age, but people are getting a lot more ballsy with psychically attacking other people. And yeah, we all need to be a little bit more
I
mindful
don't
of,
see. I don't think of it as being ballsy because like ballsy is like to
yeah,
me synonymous
it's
with
not
brave.
brave.
Well, yeah, it's
Right.
not brave. It like it's a honestly, it's a very in a way cowardly thing to do, but it's also very mean, unnecessarily cruel, unnecessarily evil. It shows that they're on a very negative path for anyone who does that. And
They
I'm
don't
just
understand what karma does either.
I'm sad that it would even be a problem in the online spiritual communities. And I think we need to improve the health of these communities. And I've wanted a way to really get on top of that and help clean things up in here. But I've similar to Chris, I've just kind of like held back in the shadows. You know, there are times that I didn't feel comfortable like putting myself online anymore. Because there are a lot of people who I guess aren't confident in what they personally offer, and they feel some need to compete and to try to tear other people down, which is really sad. And I think
And
if they,
that's what took the kind of magic out of or the desire to want to help people was, I mean, in all honesty, like I'm being attacked more than I'm helping people. Like I'm trying to help people, but I keep getting attacked. Like, why don't I just stop? And
yeah, yeah,
a long
Well,
period of that.
I
Go ahead.
think that what the interesting part, right? This is our 10 years kind of anniversary is almost to the date, right, Chris? Like in Penny, like we did this 10 years ago, and I think the difference. and not only our society, our culture, our values as a society have drastically have shifted. I think that in the astrology slash spiritual community, it added more people, which is not a bad thing. We're trying to reach our message, but unfortunately, I think from a person that's been in behind the scenes. I got a Scorpio MC, so I've been here since with you all for I've been in the spiritual community since 2005, and
Mm.
so and it's I've been watching it change and evolve, and I think that unfortunately now you guys can disagree with me, but I think there's a lot of inexperience and people that haven't really mastered their own inner work and their own, understanding of where their perspectives lie. But they're using, they're going to Barnes and Noble and buying this is everything astrology and a tarot card book. And then, you watch these readings online on YouTube. I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but the inexperience is leaking, and that starts to create a havoc between people that have put their time and energy into the experience, into the craft of really understanding the stuff and the wisdom that we've gained versus the inexperience. And I can say, all three of us on this platform right now have tons of experience. We've been in the game, we've learned, we've studied, but unfortunately, there's also a lot of other people out there. And that's why I think the level of spiritual attacks and the level of these other disconjointed pieces have really come together in our community
Yeah.
because there's so much inexperience in it. Flooded, I think. That's my
Yeah.
personal
And I
opinion.
think what you're really saying is wisdom can't be taught. Even if someone's like studying astrology and studying tarot, they might still be struggling with like being at peace with themselves and being able to send a positive message and affect other people in a positive way. They might not be fully conscious and aware of how they're affecting other people. Um, and I think ideally that's a place we get ourselves to so that we can help other
And you
people.
have to understand, like, people may not believe they're, practicing witchcraft or whatever, but everyone needs to understand everything is witchcraft. You get up,
1000%.
you get up and you need to put your shoes on in the morning. You go grab your shoes and you go put them on and you tie them. That's a ritual itself. It might be a small ritual, but it's a ritual to get your day started and go outside and go, toward your day. Like, I don't understand why people have not grasped that at this point, but
I mean, people don't
there's
even
a lot of
understand
negativity
spelling.
out there is what I'm getting at, is like people are jealous, people are leading with ego way too much these days, and time, I believe, is sped up. I'll speak on that a little later, but I believe at this point in time, like, time is sped up, timelines are jumping like all over the place, and nobody's really grounding enough, and everybody's just clutching onto their ego, and it's hurting people.
I think that
I'm a
that really
great
comes down to,
representation
uh,
of
I think that, I'm sorry.
sorry, I was
Go
trying.
ahead, Penny.
I'll be quick. I'm a great manifestation of sacrificing the ego because I'm a 12th house Leo. The 12th house is the house of sacrifice, and Leo rules the ego. The sun is the ego.
Yeah, well, good for you.
I, I think though that there's also the real life pieces too. It's like this integration between our real lives, right? Everyday life with, society, politics, economic
Oh
matters,
yeah,
right? We're
that's a
all,
big problem.
we're all factors of that, right? We're still individuals. It's like that's the hard part about practicing spirituality. In addition, is that you're still your normal 3D self, but at the same time, you have your spiritual wisdom and the things that you come with. And I think that, or you gain through your experience here in this reality. And I think that's really the biggest fundamental piece. Is that this is why I'm going to go back to really also focusing on. I agree with you, Chris. It is ego, a lot of it, and I think a lot of people's egos are really that's where the jealousy factors come in. That's where these lower vibrational energies and emotions, and that's really when you're ruminating on that energy. That's what's going to be casted out. We're all frequency based individuals, and so when we are jealous because hey, let's say in my spiritual practice, you're not believing what I'm believing, so now I'm gonna put a hex on you, even though you don't realize it. And I don't realize I'm putting a hex on you because I'm just trying to manifest,
Right.
that I'm right and you're wrong. I think that turns into where we all fall. And I think that, where we rapidly went in our society, especially after COVID, I think that, those fundamental pieces are really what's why there is so much spiritual warfare. I mean, let's be honest. Let's say what it is. We are in a spiritual warfare. That's just
We
my
are,
belief.
and we all knew this, beforehand too.
Yeah,
Now we're
I
seeing it.
think what we're really highlighting here is that every single one of us have been met by psychic attacks and deliberate spell work that was done against us. And like, really, we're brave for even still being here, you know?
We really are. And I just want to point out the three of us guys, we're not perfect, and we have negative thoughts about people, and that too is spell work, even if we're not aware we're doing it, but it is.
Mhm.
Because there's
And
a shared consciousness.
yes, and it's just basically not being kind and not being compassionate or trying to understand. It's just we're angry. We're guilty of it too. Like nobody's,
But
innocent
the
here.
difference is that while we're saying it, is that there's that self-awareness piece to it though. Because I think that we are all brought up in a culture in our society that says always be right, always do good. And I think that there is that fundamental piece that there is nobody perfect. Everybody has their dirty, mistakes and you have dirty hands at times. And I think someone always stole a cookie from the cookie jar at least once, right? And I
Yeah.
think that unfortunately, though, it's that self-awareness because that's when the light comes in, that's where the wisdom comes in, so that you don't make that same mistake twice. And I think unfortunately we're seeing more and more people go about their mistakes over and over again and not caring. And I think that there is a piece where I think that the I'm gonna go on a tangent. I apologize. The Pluto and Sagittarius group that joined us, I think that they brought a whole different element to the game. We're talking about, we're all generational beings, right? We all reincarnate. We all have part of the wheel of karma. Well, I'm part of the Pluto and Scorpio generation, and our generation is all about death, rebirth, transformation. Really, on a deep soul consciousness level, like a higher. That's like complete destruction of the self. Whereas the Pluto and Sagittarius group, I have Pluto in the ninth house, so I'm going to speak on this. Is they're bringing their beliefs all over the damn place. They're searching.
Yeah.
They're hungry for beliefs. And
Wait,
so I think
Penny,
that they changed the game.
Penny, you got a Pluto in Scorp?
Yeah, I'm Pluto and Scorpio.
Okay,
That's all
okay, cool.
millennials.
Just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, and if
Just
anyone
like
tries to tell you that millennial doesn't line up with Pluto and Scorpio, they're wrong. Because like, what else would define the
we
generation?
are millennials.
Yeah, if you have Pluto and Scorpio, you are a millennial. If you have Pluto and Sagittarius, you are Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yes, Pluto, I believe too. That's a good point. Represents your generation. But what I wanted to get to, just to give a little insight to the three of our sun moons rising. So Penny is a 19-degree Leo in the 12th house. Moon at 28 degrees Capricorn in the 5th house. I'm going off I'm sorry, I'm going off a equal house system, so I'm sorry if it might be different. Uh and her rising is 9 degrees Virgo. Walter here is a 1 degree Taurus in the 4th house. And his moon is 19 degrees Aquarius in the 1st house. And his rising is 28 degrees Capricorn.
Hey.
Hey, and we do share the same rising. Okay, so my sun is 26 degrees Leo in the 8th house, as Penny said. Moon in Scorpio at 5 degrees in the 11th house, conjunct Pluto. Sorry, had to add that.
Moon and
Uh,
Scorpio is the bane of my existence. I love you guys too much.
we love y'all too much. Okay, maybe it's just the attraction. Okay, so my rising is 3 degrees Capricorn, which I've always found funny. Is that's like the Christmas Day degree? Usually, I don't know what the hell that means, but so that's a little about us, if you were wondering. And
Three is also the
yeah,
number of ascended masters.
Do what?
Three is also the number of ascended masters.
Oh, is it?
Hmm.
Three to me is the Sagittarian number. But
Hmm.
okay.
Jupiter and expansion. Hmm.
Jupiter, yeah, it's Jupiter. Three is Jupiter. Cool.
I'm a life path 33, so I love
Oh,
numerology. But
What's your
listen to
life path,
Walter.
Chris?
7.
7. I am a 22.
God. Okay. Well, y'all are just
Yeah, it's
so
funny.
so evolved.
You're the only of the three of us. You're the one that doesn't have the master life path number. But then in astrology, Walter's the odd one out. Well, in a way, he's the odd one out because he's the only one that's a Taurus. You and I are a Leo. But then I'm the odd one out in a way too because you guys are Capricorn.
that's cool, huh?
We have all this stuff going on.
That's funny. All right, so one of the topics I wanted to start on first is obviously everybody has been going through hell uh, basically since 2020, on and off for most people, but for some people the entire time. So I guess we'll start with you, Walter. Like, do you want to talk about um, your experience? I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to open up if you're not
Oh,
comfortable doing that.
since COVID,
Yeah,
I think for in terms of reality, also within the spiritual community, I'm kind of gonna bring them both two worlds that I'm gonna put back together and I think that if from the world kind of went crazy with COVID, right? We all thought it was the end of the
yes,
world. And then we went from, oh, wait, it's not the end of the world. We're here to live. Well, we got to go back to work. Now we got to go back to our lives. And it was just a weird time, right? And I think that's also another reason why the spiritual boom kind of exploded because people needed to know to do something and research and find out if we're going to die or whatever. And I think, though, that I think ultimately, I think COVID really changed the game. And I think in the good ways and in some bad ways. I think in the good ways that COVID changed the game is by the innovation that came from it. That like the more like this platform right now, Zoom is popular. We can do things. Our first thing was on a Google Hangout years ago with little bubbles. Like, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
It was
Kind of.
so fun and so simple and so lighthearted. Like, yeah,
And then, but innovation did come through that. But at the same time, I would say that it's really about the how now that we have all this innovation, how do we put the pieces together? And I think that that's really where we're at. For
yeah.
me
That's where we're
personally,
all at. No, I believe that because I did a bunch of writing, like I said before, and that's kind of what you just said. Like, I'm just I'm at where I'm at, and I'm still not the best as I want to be. So yeah, totally.
Well, I think you're the best as I want you to be. And I think Walter's the best as I want him to be.
double down for you both. I think though, I think I think it's an exciting time, but unfortunately, I also feel that
It's scary.
there's also a gap though now. You can see it across everything. The lines of duality have really made its presence known, and you see it in politics, you see it in consumerism, you see it in world geographical like literally it's almost like that we got the Axis and the Allies again. You know what I mean? Like it's just everyone is getting to their camps. It's almost like and I think that's because it's a reflection of not only the spiritual warfare outside of ourselves, but also the one inside of ourselves too. So I'll end my time there. But I think it's an interesting topic to
Thank
explore
you. Thank
further.
you. No, no, that was great. Thank you so much. All right, Penny, you want to talk about what's happened with you?
Well, I really like what Walter said. It's so authentic, and it made me feel like, wow, everything I probably would have said would have
Well,
sounded like.
you can't steal it.
Yeah, like I became afraid of talking about this sort of thing because when it was going on in 2020, I wanted to help so bad, and I also like acknowledged I couldn't. There was nothing I could do but sit back and watch the world fall apart, watch people be afraid, and I felt powerless. And the things I did try to do, I realized that in some ways it wasn't okay to like talk about what was going on. You know, there was censorship, there was stuff holding us back from being able to talk about it. So it definitely changed my life a lot. You know, I had a pivotal moment and it gave me space to be able to accept the physical changes in my body from after having experienced an injury in a car accident. And,
Oh yeah.
you know, it was really, really hard. The
Was that
whole
in 2020?
So in 2020, I had to stop working as a fitness instructor. I was still doing astrology readings at
No,
that time
when
as
did
well.
when did you have the wreck is what I'm asking.
The accident was in 2018. I believe it went
Okay.
pretty well with like my Saturn return, and then there
Mhm.
were some exact dates that line up with like when Saturn was exactly on top of my Saturn. So my Saturn is an Aquarius in the sixth house. The sixth house is health and wellness as well as work, and this also affected my ability to work. And Aquarius can be associated with, I think some say the respiratory system. And in my instance, I think it's very clear that it was associated with the nervous system, right? So
Yeah.
I don't really do medical astrology, partially because it's risky to do something like that in the United States. I think there's a lot of risk of getting sued. But also, I just don't feel as called to do medical astrology. There are people who do it. If anyone out there's more interested in it,
Yeah.
but yeah, in my experience, you know, from my personal injury, I would say that Aquarius in the sixth house with Saturn there can represent issues with the nervous system because I had an injury that affected my spine and it was affected in a few different places. So certain things were never really the same for me after that. But I was before that such a physically motivated person. You know, I loved intense exercise and I had to back way off from that. And I was having such a hard time accepting that I had to have limitations. You know, I couldn't just work out all the time anymore. I had to go lighter and work out less frequently. But since I was also working as a fitness instructor and I wanted to be able to like help the gym and help other people in any way and as often as possible, I was taking on so many
So
classes.
Saturn kind of forced you to help people in a
No,
way that wasn't physical.
right, right, yeah. And then it took me a really long time. I knew that my calling was to start doing yoga. I knew it, and I had this sarcastic, annoyed attitude about it at first. It took me a really long time, an even worse exacerbation of my physical injuries before I finally accepted, like, okay, I'm gonna sit and like at least see what is in this yoga course that I already paid for and I started doing
Don't
that.
even. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was like 2021, maybe when I started doing that. I can't believe it's already been that long, though.
Yeah,
I don't
I was
know. It's
just gonna
like,
say, like, don't pay for it. Like yoga with Adrian. I just want to put this out there.
no, I
Yoga
have
with
certification.
Adrian.
I have like 5 yoga certifications, so I did pay for them.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, there's a awesome chick. I do yoga every day. If not every day, every other day. With one person alone, have since 2015. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and a lot of my instructors are in India, so that's really fun, even just being on Zoom with people who are in different countries, seeing monkeys come up in the windows behind them and learning to chant in Sanskrit and getting an authentic yoga experience that can be really hard to get in the United States. And you know what? That helped me heal in ways that I didn't even know that I needed healing. And that's really
Right.
been so amazing. And then specifically the meditation teacher instruct course that I did, it made me more open-minded towards religion because our instructor wanted us to familiarize ourselves with texts from all the different religions. You know, he got like pretty much whatever he could think to, it seemed like, and he's like, I want you guys to read this. So I read them all. You know, I read the Tao, I read the Bhagavad Gita, I read Buddhist sutras, and there's some Christian scripture in there as well, just really anything he could think to bring to us. And I learned a lot of Sanskrit chants as well. So
Awesome.
I know so many of us have religious trauma, and even I do to some extent. I grew up Catholic, and I didn't
Well,
always have the best
I do
experience.
have to add that you do have Saturn in Aquarius, and Walter and I have Saturn and wait, well, your Saturn and Sagittarius is in the fourth house. Okay, so it's really my religious trauma. I have some dear religious trauma.
What
I'm
house is
sorry.
your Saturn in?
12.
12th. So we have a 12th house Saturn and a fourth house Saturn, both of you in Sagittarius, though.
Yeah, and maybe even
My
Sagittarius
Saturn's
alone.
mine's in the 11th house,
Yeah, I know. I got it written down. But
and said
maybe even Sagittarius because that's, spiritual knowledge, higher knowledge too.
that's what I'm saying. Sagittarius, the Pluto and Sagittarius
Do
generation.
you have religious trauma?
Oh, a little
What?
bit. Not as bad as some people do, of
No,
course.
I
Like,
was asking like
oh,
Walter since he does. I'm sorry,
I
since he
I
does.
I I, I, I had the fun experience of exploring. I'm Pluto in the ninth house, so I'm this stuff I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like this is what I crave is to understand why we're here. You know what I mean? On a deep
Gotcha.
level because of Scorpio. So I've been I had the fun experience of learning like um, Christian. I grew up Baptist, and then I went and asked too many questions, and because of those
Mhm.
questions, I was moved on to atheism, and then I was shown, through a death of a dear friend, that that's not really the truth either. So it really kind of actually the rabbit hole to where my beliefs are now, which is I think that this is a beautiful experience regardless of what happens in your life. Just to
Yeah.
be
I've
here
come to
is a beautiful
really
experience.
appreciate, I've come to really appreciate religion. Yeah, it took me a while to get there.
Yeah, I'm not there
And
yet. Not
there's
there
so
yet.
many different religions you can explore. So, like, you don't have to rule out all religions just because of certain people. And, right, like, people, individuals cannot really be a spokesperson for a religion because we run into so many instances where people are imperfect and they might do something that like makes the religion look bad, at least in our eyes, to our perception. And I think so many of us have let that ruin the whole religion or
Well,
religion as a whole.
I don't think we have let it ruin it. I think the powers that we have, because I have had a personal experience with Jesus, and it brought me to my knees in tears when that happened. And I will stand by that till the day I die that that happened. And what I understood from that was Jesus doesn't care about these religions. He himself believes they're toxic, but he also doesn't want you to attack these people, is what I understood.
Yeah,
So
I can
what you
understand.
so Chris, what have you been up to in these past 10 years? Your turn.
Thank you, Penny. um, so y'all know, okay, so I've been doing my album since 2014. Moved out to California, worked with a great astrologer. Uh, that kind of went south in many different ways. Moved back home, and things just gradually got a little worse. Nobody's fault, really. And then in 2020, something dramatic happened. And I'm just going to be completely Scorpio moon up front. I was cursed. I was cursed. Somebody, and I'm not going to say who because I don't exactly know who. And this is all hearsay anyway. But I've had enough confirmation to know that somebody came for me in my position and my destiny and actually got away with it. And it was oblivious to me at the time, and everything was snatched from me. If you don't know my story, uh, literally almost took my life. I did in 2021. It got that bad, and I would never do that. I'm not a person that would do that. My brother did that, when I was 14. And that's just something I've always committed to never do to myself. And to actually do that speaks volume if you still aren't understanding how severe that separation from what I felt like I was destined to do was taken from me. So it was definitely something weird and witchy and dark. Somebody was fucking with me for sure. And it so after 2020, it's taken. I mean, I'll say it's taken even till now. I am still healing. No, it's not as bad as it was, in the past 3 years. Actually, this past year has been a little easier. I've actually got to experience luck and joy and happiness in my life here and there. There's still problems. I still fall back into that emptiness and that loneliness of my mind goes back to that, like that's the core. And just trying to figure things out. I'm just being patient with myself. But I did write down some things that I'm doing to help work on myself now. So focusing on just being grateful for so many new things in my life right now, trying to stay open minded and keep my energy clean, keeping in touch with my higher self. Um, there's a lot of potential for what my future looks like right now. We are in a Mercury retrograde, so I don't want to specify what that is just yet, but it's very exciting and also a little scary. Uh, it's a lot scary, but let's just say if I do follow through, it will be a complete reset on my life completely. Uh, like in every single aspect you can imagine. So we'll see about that. I'll talk to y'all about that later. But right now I am just filtering out some leftover trauma and transmuting it the best way I can. I mean, Scorpio moons are good at that anyways. So this year started out not that great, then it got really amazing. Then as the summer started, it started to get shaky again until it got really awful this month. But right now in this moment, I'm just trying to sit still and heal some more while busting my ass at my new job, which I'm grateful for. Um, and I feel like after Mercury goes direct, it'll be full speed ahead and I'll really get a clearer vision. So really just trying to be with myself more, reflect more, get out of my head and just get to the root of my traumas because this has been going on since 2020. This intense on and off healing period and I'm really just ready to, move it along, speed it up.
I like to just say one thing, and this pertains to both you, Penny, and you, Chris, and myself, is that anyone who's watching this video today, I dare you to go and or challenge you rather to watch our previous video. We should link it, Chris. I think that
I think I
because
will link it in the yeah.
I think it needs to be because I think the difference between us then and us now is we were more portraying the people that we were trying to be, where now we're portraying the people we are. And
Yeah.
we're open about our vulnerabilities or open about, and that takes courage, right? That shows the strength of the wisdom that we've gained through our experience. We're not here to portray the face, both of you have businesses. I've never really chose to do this as a business, but you guys typically when you run a business you want to present this face and that you're always positive and to draw in clients where right now I think the answer to everything is authenticity. you know I think that that's what we really need to get to the roots of because the unfortunate piece is that the other opposite end, the superficiality, that's running wild. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that means people are not doing the inner work that they need to do. So I do apologize, but I just wanted to say that.
No, no, thank you for saying that because like I told you, like my link tree I think has been discontinued for some reason because I didn't add some tax information. I was just like, you know what? I'm too busy with life and like working in the real world and not saying this work is not real world work, but I didn't have time for it. So I don't even have services up anymore. Um that's why I tell people like if you want to connect with my services than reach out to me personally. But yeah.
Yeah, and I
So,
think it's important to remember
oh,
that
go ahead.
even if we're put in a position where we're working a different job, perhaps other than what we wanted, there's a reason it's happening, and it's a good reason. It's not to punish us, it's not to take
Oh
something from
yeah,
us. And for anyone watching this, including the three of us in this chat, if you're working a mundane job or a job that you thought wasn't your calling, and you wanted to be able to heal people, you need to see that you're already doing that. You're already doing it anyway. You don't have to have some label as being an astrologer or a medium or a psychic or a Reiki practitioner or a yoga instructor. You don't need any of these labels. You're going to do what you do no matter what, because what you do is a part of you. Like just by being in a space, you do the thing that you were called to do.
absolutely,
And I
absolutely.
think that that's the piece, though, is that there's a difference between, I guess this is I'm going to stay on this topic for me, is that the inexperience factor, because there's a lot of people that are trying to make a quick dollar, again, by getting these cookbooks and their first ever tarot card and trying to generate wealth for themselves and become famous and become known, but not really doing the inner work. They're not going to talk about their traumas. They're not going to present that they're vulnerable. You can't do that in our consumerism sense, right? Because the people that are going to be drawn to this video are going to be on the same kind of wavelength and frequency that we are. If they happen to stumble on it, if they're going toward a particular frequency. And I think that ultimately what it comes down to is the transition of, there's a difference between authenticity out there in the spiritual community that are really genuine about, hey, I'm going to give you the best of my time, energy, my connection to source, but it's the same connection to you. I'm just at a different frequency so we can connect, versus I'm going to put on a superficial face and give you a superficial reading so that you believe. I'm just going to gaslight you pretty much. I'm going to give you the money, you're going to give me the money, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you want. Stay
I
with that
mean, yeah, it has to
codependency.
become that. If you're going to make it such a huge business, I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. At some point or another, it's going to become superficial because you have to keep it up, and sometimes you just cannot. And
But I
I
agree
have
with what
even
Penny's saying, though, is that what Penny just said is the truth, is that you don't need labels. If you're presenting from an authentic place, and you're going to draw in the people that need those authentic readings, right? You're going to bring in the clientele to not only support you with abundance, but it's also going to help those that are seeking that confirmation in that moment. Versus what we have today, which is, I'm going to be controversial, right? Moon and Aquarius, shock factor, baby, is that we have a lot of fake ass people out here in the community that are not for the community, they're for the dollar. And they're
yeah,
trying to use everybody to get famous and rich and for whatever reason, and it's coming from that place of lack. It's coming from a place of ego. It's coming from a place of trying to become something like you already are. If you're here in this dimension, that means you already exist. Therefore, that is the greatest gift you can have. It is your choices that you decide to do with which path you align yourself with. And unfortunately, you have to gain wisdom to understand that you have the power of choice, which is self-awareness. But a lot of people are using these platforms now today in today's world to just get money. And I've seen it so many times where you get the tarot deck and they're like, oh, let me read the book. And why the hell would I pay for a consultation of $150 with you when all you're going to do is gaslight me?
no, you
I
got a
mean,
point. And let me just talk. Well, I don't think that's important, but the way I learned tarot, y'all know the story. Maybe you don't remember it. Is when my brother killed himself. Uh, that's where it was initiated. Like, hey, I'm still here. Learn to talk to me. And I literally bought a book of a decoder book of one particular reading. I don't do any other readings, just one particular reading, and this book focused on that reading. And my brother, who's deceased, wanted me to learn simply how to decode the cards he was trying to tell me. So it was very Virgo-ish, and a lot of people judged me for that, like, "Oh, you're reading out of a book." Yeah, I'm decoding because my brother wants me to understand what he's saying in these positions. Like, am I making sense?
I think everyone has a different way of learning, and
Yeah,
you
and I
know,
don't mean to disparage learning. That's
No, because
not
I
what I'm
remember
trying to say.
a very big astrologer giving me shit on a very public platform for doing that, and it was very offensive to
No,
say the least.
that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say to those that are with intent, right? Everything's about intent to make money and to lack the skills, lack the time, the energy, the effort, the self-work, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not what book you read. It's about how you apply that book within yourself. And then you within yourself find yourself and communicate with your higher self about where your path is leading you. What choices should you make? This is why karma exists, right? If you make a choice that's intentionally going to hurt somebody and you know it's going to hurt somebody, you're going to get karma. It's
Yeah.
flat out. And then you're going to reincarnate with that karma. Or if it's
You
going to
mean
pay off
like
immediately, it's like,
if it's like intentional lies or intentional gaslighting? Yes, I understand that
I've seen it
completely.
all. You go on YouTube.
Oh,
Go do a random
go
pick
on
a card right now.
TikTok. Get on TikTok. Look at all these fake ass. Oh my God, I can't. Don't even get me started.
It's the truth though. And a lot of them don't. I actually talked to one person that was doing card readings, right? And I became kind of sort of friends with him. And I asked him, did he know anything about astrology? Because he always kept talking about when in his readings that, oh, this is, you could be a sun in Pisces because it's a water. I've never liked with tarot. This is just my personal take. The generalization of the water signs is because it's a cups. Like, no, it's not about the fundamentals. That tarot is much deeper than that. That's just my perspective.
Way deeper.
Anyways, I think that when I asked him about his, because he kept saying, the sun, moon, and rising, I said, do you know anything else? No, nothing. And he's not the first. There was one person I was actually, talking to, kind of coaching on the side with his business, by the way, about astrology. And so when you are intently, I think, that's what I'm saying. You're making this as a profit. You're trying to put food on your table, and that's nothing wrong with that. But if you're also going out there to try to be a spiritual coach and guide people, and you're not even doing the work yourself, you're only going to add just dysfunction. You know what I mean? And the only way you can really continue to get money from those people is by gaslighting them, is by
You
validating what they're coming to
honestly
you from.
need, if you're going to do that, if you're going to make a business out of it, you need a team of people that are going to hold you up when you're down because it's never going to be a straight shoot to being perfect all the time. I'm sorry, guys. There's no perfect guru out there. Everybody, if you're alive, you're still learning lessons.
oh, I
So
agree with that, Chris.
don't
Yeah.
don't ever believe a guru is perfect in any sense because they aren't. And if they tell you that, they're lying. You need
But they
Yeah.
a
wouldn't be in Earth
team of
School.
people.
With what Walter
What?
was saying about readers, whether they're psychics or astrologers, who are being dishonest with people, um, in any type of way, whether it's they don't actually know what they're talking about. And there's always room for human error. So I don't mean like within reasonable doubt, but I mean like
Right.
if they're genuinely lying to a client in any type of way or saying things just to try to get more money out of the client without focusing on what's in the best interest of the client, we need to acknowledge that is actually predatory. And
Yeah.
none of us should be lying to ourselves. With whatever industry we're in, there will be opportunities where there's a fork in the road and you can do the right thing, which might seem like it'll make you less money. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. Or you'll see an opportunity where you could do what's clearly the wrong thing. And you might have some reason to think that you will make more money if you do the wrong thing. Every industry has these forks in the road. And you find out like what kind of person you are really committed to being
Right.
when you see which direction you go. So we
Yes.
honestly we need to acknowledge that for what it is, and we need
Yeah.
to hold ourselves accountable. And I think what's sad is there's a lot of really vulnerable people out there, people who turn to astrology and tarot and psychic readings and really religion as well.
Yeah.
These people are often very vulnerable and they are in a position where they could easily be taken advantage of. And because of the energy alignment, they're like, no matter what industry they go to, no matter what religion they go to, they are more vulnerable because of that current energy alignment to be matched with someone who is being predatory. And they're less likely to feel attracted and drawn towards a person who genuinely has their best interest in mind because that's not their current energy alignment. So I think we all should find ways to help those people, whether it's like raising the collective consciousness, praying for them, talking to them, giving them verbal time and compassion, just whatever is in within our spiritual beliefs and practices that we can do to help everybody in the
Right.
community.
And I just wanted to say, like, Walter, you said something. I know you're kind of making a joke at that person that says, "Well, I don't know what it means." I will, before I lie to a client, actually, before I would never lie to a client. I will tell you, I don't know what that means. Sorry. Before I will lie to a client. Like, I think that is so unethical. Why would you do that? I mean, in my
But
early
that,
years,
that
when I really didn't understand what the cards meant in my early years, now I do. But back then, I kind of confused people because I was like, well, this is what your guides are telling you. They're like, but what does it mean? I'm like, I don't, what does it mean to you? You know?
But I think that's a huge fundamental piece, though, is that it is an industry, it is a business concept, and we know that at the end of the day, it's about the bottom dollar, right? But the interesting thing is that we're talking about spirituality, right? We're talking about doesn't matter what faith, practice, religion, because religion is just it's spirituality in the masses. It's like a particular mass thing. So I would say that ultimately that I really think that it's just really about the intention. I think really what it comes down to. Are you trying to just use this as a quick rich scheme, or are you genuinely trying to bring your spirituality out and not only out but inward to yourself, right? You're trying
Yeah.
to because everything is symbiosis, right? You're me, I'm you, kind of thing. And so at the end of the day, it's also a reflection of how, like, kind of what Penny was alluding to. Also, I believe is that it's that frequency of that match, right? That magnetic pull. And if you're pulling from a predatory, to the person that's a vulnerable victim in the situation, it's because it's about growth, I think, and expansion. But at the end of the day, we as a community of people that are more, I would say, more with more wisdom, we have a responsibility to build those ethics in the community. We have a responsibility to create kind of this, policy. And this is not nothing new. There's ethics in every business. You go to a doctor's, there's ethics. You go to a therapist, there's ethics. There's certain guidelines that there should be no ethical boundary line. And I think that unfortunately with the spiritual community, people just put that post that says this is for entertainment services only, when
When
in
you have to
reality,
say that
they're really.
legally, um, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, no, I understand why, but I'm saying that that's because there's no ethics. This is one of those places in these realms that
Yeah,
there
it's a
should be
very iffy.
ethics.
I mean, how do you trust? Like,
Well, the
yeah.
entertainment thing only, it depends on where you live, but there's some places where it's actually illegal to do psychic or any type of predictive readings. And yeah, so
Oh, wow.
the legal protection for that is to say that you're just an entertainer.
All right, guys, let's
Yes,
move
but
on. I don't want to stay on the same stuff. We got a lot of other things to cover. Okay, so after the things that we have been through, Walter, we'll start with you. What are some of the things you've learned that have made you grow to be a better person?
I learned that death is an illusion. Death is just a transformation of the consciousness that you are. We are all one in the sense that we are all energy. Energy doesn't die. We can't create nor destroy it. So at the end of the day, we're all just vibrating at frequencies within our own brains. At the end of the day, your brain is encapsulated in nothing but darkness. So therefore, everything that you are is based off your five senses or sixth sense, when you include spirituality. And at the end of the day, you're the one that's in charge of your reality. And I think that the biggest fundamental thing that I've learned is that I wasn't in control of my reality because I thought everything was external, and it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Happening
I
to
was
you,
going.
not happening for you.
Yeah, well, even I'm the one that's happening. Right? I'm the one that's existing in this moment of time. You're existing in your moment of time. What I've learned is that, to be honest, no, this is a fun thing, but this is how I feel is that our birth, right, especially when it comes to astrology, right, the thing that we don't talk a lot about is death charts. We can all pull a death chart, right? It's taboo to talk about pulling a death chart in a lot of senses.
Yeah, but
We
who
have
needs to
birth
know
charts that we
about all
talk
that?
about, but, huh?
Who needs to know about all that?
Well,
I don't want to
there's a
know when
point
I'm
though.
gonna die.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not. I'm not saying pulling a death chart. I'm saying after the person's deceased. I'm saying that
Oh,
we don't look at like celebrities' death charts or anyone that has passed their chart when they died. We know that information, the time of death and the location, and I think that we're missing a big piece as astrologers to that continuum of the individual because it will show you from the birth chart to the death chart the continuum of the individual's life cycle and we would be able to see the north node, the south node, particularly how it transits the end, or if there's any aspects to the end of the individual's life. I think that this would actually be more really productive if we, as the community, start to look into things like this because, that's how I've grown. To answer your question, Chris, is that I went within. There obviously trauma is a huge factor. Trauma unavoidable.
no,
We are
I
gonna
totally
face
appreciate how
that.
deep you're going. I just don't know if these younger people would take it more responsibly, if you get what I'm saying. But
What do you
yeah,
mean? How so?
with death charts, I don't think this younger generation should be looking at that.
That's a
That's just
fair
my
point. Yeah,
opinion.
they might mishandle some of the information. And the fact of the matter is, none of us know what happens after we die. We might, even if we have some psychic ability, we've seen something, we don't necessarily know why we saw it. We don't know what it means. It could be like an episode of That's So Raven where we're totally taking something out of context. So I think within reason, we all need to agree that we are not 100% certain what happens when we die. We have our own like religious, spiritual beliefs and theories and all these things. But when we look at a death chart, man, it would be so easy to take that information out of context to perhaps look at it
Yeah.
intuitively. But I do love the idea that Walter had for doing this. And I think I, I'd actually be really
Oh
interested to
no,
see
I'm not.
what
Yeah, I'm not putting it down at all. I'm just saying, I
And
don't
I'm
want
not
these
saying
kids
that the
hearing
death chart is going to predict.
that.
I'm not going to say that the death chart is going to predict what's going to happen in the afterlife. I'm saying that it would show the continuum between because the point that I was trying to make is that your moment in life, right, is the same moment. It's frozen. It's like a movie, right? It's frozen still pictures at accelerated rate, right? That's what we are. Right now, even in this video, that's exactly what this video is. It still frames at a certain speed that will continue that. So and I'm sorry, Chris. This is who I am. I'm a very deep person.
No,
So
no, no, no. I'm not dogging
I
you at all. I'm not dogging you at all.
no. I mean, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm
What
guided to
I'm
say.
scared, no,
So
it's my own like fear of like, oh my God, what are these kids gonna do if they hear those? Like.
I think that the right people would resonate and vibrate with this message. I don't have fear. Fear is the work of the devil. Sure, that's my perspective though. But anyways, I really ultimately feel that it's really going to show the continuum of because we know before the baby's born there's prenatal charts, prenatal eclipses. There's certain things that are already going to be predictive factors toward the north node. I mean, I was born on an eclipse during opposition to Aries and Libra way before I was born, and then now I have north node and Aries and Libra
What's
aspects,
your
and so
what's your prenatal eclipse, lunar eclipse? You
I
know,
think I think I think it was either Aries or Libra. It was one of those two, and that was
it's
another
probably the
big
same as your
prediction.
nodes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you would see the progression of the soul, is what I'm trying to say, because it still would be the same moment of time. It's a fixed point. Everyone's death is a fixed point, I believe. You can't change it. So I think that would show an interesting aspectual piece to astrology. Not
I
that
just
it's gonna. I don't think that people should be looking at death charts in terms of.
yeah, I don't either.
That's
Just
again, it's
because
a little bit too taboo. I don't think it's too
yeah,
taboo. I think
I think it would mess up people's journeys and their life path and what they're supposed to know at the time. I mean, when you
it
know when
wouldn't
you're
be.
gonna
It
die,
wouldn't.
that could totally knock you off track.
You wouldn't know. You don't know when you're gonna die, though. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying. I'm
nobody
saying
does.
I'm not saying this from a point of perspective of I want to know my death chart. I'm saying that after I die, you two could look at the correlation of the how I lived. You
Right.
understand what I'm trying to say?
Very taboo. Very taboo. Yeah. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
But it wouldn't be about me. It would be about you understanding my life through my birth chart to my death chart,
Right.
rather than me predicting or learning anything about my death. That's the difference. I think maybe there might be miscommunication on my part on that piece.
Yeah, but also at the same time, at that point, you're already gone. So you're already moving on to whatever's happening next. So
Well, there's so many
anyway.
different religious beliefs about what happens when we die. Most religions have some kind of belief that there is some type of life after death. But like, even if you're from a purely science perspective, it's like, oh, well, what bug is going to eat the energy from your body? You know, I think it can still be interesting and it can still be profound.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, I'm sorry, Walter. I was not trying to like debate you on that. All right,
No,
Penny.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I was just like, I'm kind of a little afraid of what these kids are hearing and what they're perceiving it as these days. So it's like, uh, yeah. But all right. So Penny, things you've learned.
Really, the number one biggest thing I've learned is that it is very important how we spend our time. It is very important how you spend your time every day. You're manifesting what you want based on how you spend your time. And your time is one of the most valuable things you have. You should be using your astrological chart like it's a map to figure out how to spend your time, how to divide your day up, and just the regular day to day life. Each each hour, each moment. Yes, there needs to be a balance between like restoration and
But like,
joy.
what if you're not
And
enjoying it? What if
oh,
you're
you
just
should be
doing it?
enjoying things in your day. Yeah, you should be. And maybe there's not joy in every moment of the day. There does not need to be joy in every moment of the day. There can be moments of the day that have sadness, but
Yeah.
um, you have to find a way to use your time wisely. And you can use your astrological chart to help you understand yourself so that you know like how you really want to be using your time. You need to be consciously aware of that because so much of our time can be stolen from us. Our mind can become a prison. Our life can become something other than what we want it to be if we do not account for our time and our use of energy.
Right. Agreed. All right. Things I've learned. You ready? Or did you have anything else, Penny?
That's it.
Okay. I kind of have a lot. I'm sorry. I'll try to like speed through it. Things I've learned since what happened in 2020, which everybody should know. Um, Number one, at the end of the day, you can only truly trust and rely on yourself. Not saying you can't ever trust people or have friends or whatever, but you can't expect anyone else to manage any part of your life. It's totally on you. It's not nice, or I'm sorry, it's nice to have people or a person there and know that they'd love and accept you no matter what. But the Scorpio moon is here to testify that's not true. You must be there for yourself all the time, every day. I know everybody wants to lean on people, and that's okay. But you've got to understand the person you're leaning on could go. What are you going to do then? You know, you've got to learn complete independence. And I know that's a heavy one for a lot of people. Just let that simmer. Number two, balance in everything you do is what's going to keep you alive, out of trouble, and on a good path. There's so many things that I personally overdo, overthink, even now, but you have to rebalance yourself every single day before these scales start tipping. Number three, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to let the process of just feeling things happen, and it's okay to cry. And if you do find yourself crying, that's evidence that something needs to come out. And you should never deprive yourself of that. It's important to get back up and honor yourself afterwards, whatever that looks like for you. But yeah, uh it's okay to feel not so great. Uh just try not to hurt others in the process. And as humans, we do that sometimes on accident. Number four, be grateful for everything and everyone in your life because anything can be snatched from you at any time. So don't take things and people in your life for granted. Two more. All right. Five, there's no such thing as loss, only transmutation. Anything can be transmutated. It's all about your perspective. And sixth thing I've learned over the past few years is how feelings work. Simple as that. Just how feelings work. So, saying that as a Scorpio moon, you would think like I understand all the feelings. No, I don't. I was actually really stupid about it, and I'm just now understanding feelings, and it's a lot more complicated than I thought it was. So,
I think feelings are very scary for Moon and Scorpio. The life of a
so scary.
Scorpion is not an easy life. Just referring to the animal, not referring to any person. But if you're born as a Scorpion, what happens is, and the Moon rules the mother. If you're born as a Scorpion, what happens is the first predator you face is your own mother, because there's a good chance she might eat you. And then you
Mm,
might get into fights with your siblings too. You might have like 29 siblings because Scorpions usually have a lot of babies. And then at first they're afraid of their own food, even. They have to eat live food, but then they're so small and then they have to like find bugs that are small enough for them to eat, but they might worry that they get bitten as well. So it's like everything's scary. Even though like scorpions look so scary, everything is scary to them as well. And I think that's a really good frame of reference for understanding the intensity of Moon and Scorpio and what exactly
I
they
like
deal with,
that.
what
Yeah, I like
exactly
that.
they face in life.
Scorpios have a lot of babies. Yeah. And I'll just be a little blunt and open here. I have been terrified of people since I can remember, since I was a baby. Like I would hide behind my mother's legs if somebody tried to talk to me. Like it was abnormal to say the least. And uh, I don't know why I've always been so scared of people, but and also my brother Matthew has a Scorpio moon, so we both have a Scorpio moon with and we have kind of the same thing deal with our mother and dealing with her. Nothing against my mother. I don't want to get too deep into that. She's doing her
Yeah.
best.
I mean,
But
depending on how we look at it, we can say that it's no one's fault and it's everyone's fault all at the same time.
yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Well,
Okay,
I wanted to offer you guys a reading. I could do a reading for each of you
yeah,
with
you were
cards.
gonna pull me the what was it? The Oracle deck.
I could do a love oracle card. Do you want me to do
I
that?
want that card. Yeah, I want the Love Oracle card.
I could also do like a love reading for you or something, but I'll do an
I
oracle first.
okay.
Do you want an oracle card, Walter? It's a love oracle.
Yeah, thank you, Penny. Yeah.
All right, so let's get the love oracle card for Chris and then for Walter as well. All right. For Chris, we have engagement.
Excuse you. What? Wait,
It
what did I
says
say?
your love life is soon ascending to a higher level of commitment. So you're going to be meeting someone soon who's like a serious relationship prospect for you, like really, really serious. I feel like it's going to be better than anything you've ever had before. Like you're leaving all
Like
that toxic stuff in the
someone I
past.
haven't met, do you believe? Or
Well, it
someone
says
I
your love
might
life
have
is soon
just met?
ascending. I
I'm
feel like
sorry.
it's someone you just met.
Yeah, Oh,
It feels very, very new. It feels like literally
confirmation. Confirmation.
exchanged names, like on the acquaintance level right now.
I know who you're talking about.
For Walter, it says free yourself. And the card says you don't need to be in control of everything for a love relationship to be successful. So I think that likely has to do with accepting yourself to the point that you know that someone else can accept you too, and free yourself from the self-imposed limitations that you've created in your own mind based on expectations of like what other people are looking for. Like free yourself from the expectations of what you think other people are looking for.
That's very accurate for me. Thank you so much for that, Penny.
You are so welcome. You guys have been my friends for more than 10 years.
I love
Hey, we got to
y'all.
celebrate that, because listen, we all had sailed our ships in life and we had some turbulent waters, but here we are. You know what I mean? And I think it's a beautiful honor for the
It
growth,
is.
and I can see in all of both of you. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying.
You
Like the
too.
other video. So it's fun. This
We-
is the fun chapter in the story.
We've all grown so much, and I just have to give another shout out to Carolyn and Crystal, and we have to do another hangout like here soon with them because I just they cannot be left out. I don't care if I have to yank Crystal out of her slumber, like she will join us. I will make sure of it.
They're
Um,
they're both amazing.
they are. I love them so much, and they'll never not be a part of our friend group. There is one other topic I wanted to go over, and that's it. And then I pulled some archangels for you guys,
Thank you.
and the
I
collective,
gotta.
and for everybody else.
I'm gonna go grab a deck too. I wanted to a pull card at the end too.
Oh,
Okay,
cool. Yeah, I
so
love that we're doing this again and that we're together again. We're building a more loving community. You know, things
yes, I
things were
love
so
this.
much more lighthearted before.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
me
I think
too.
it's so needed in this time because I think there's again so much polarization, and even some of the remarks I said today about the inexperience factor is a little bit of the polarization. I just think that this is polarization period all around us, and so it's about how do we integrate that so that it's a symbiotic yin yang. So it's exciting
Well,
times, I think, because we
let's
have
use
that's
that
the
heat.
opportunity.
Yeah, let's use the heat as fuel for a hot air balloon and make things feel light again.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right. So the next topic is ways to heal. Um, and we can just like do this really quick. So I'll start just to get mine out of the way. Yoga, of course, Penny, I know you can relate to that. I do it every day, if not every other day. Breath work, which is kind of yoga too. Journaling is very important. A lot of us have trouble journaling, kind of tedious. And chanting. I used to chant when I was in California, for like the same thing over and over. Like, I don't really do that anymore, but one of the archangel decks I use provides chants to chant 3 times. So I love doing that. And second, just letting the healing happen, letting yourself feel feelings without rushing yourself or feeling ashamed for feeling that way. Stop letting your ego make all the rules because your heart is your biggest asset. Yes, we need our ego for drive and other things, but it's important to routinely check in on yourself and get back to what your heart is needing. Like in 2024, um, like now, I'm seeing people more than ever unable or forgetting how to reconnect with their heart. Mental health in America is so overwhelmingly bad right now because everything is speeding up and people don't have time or energy they used to have to check in with their hearts. That's why I am stressing that it is fundamental to keep up with where your heart is at least once a day and take inventory of how people and situations and things are making you feel. Because if you lose track of that, you're gonna you're gonna lose everything. You're gonna lose people. You're gonna lose your drive. You're gonna get confused. You're not gonna know what you want anymore. Um, Yeah, that was my ways to heal segment.
Yeah, I think there's an infinite amount of ways to heal, and it's important that we all just look at our own lives and be like, what are the ways that I am healing? What are the things that I do to heal? Because we might think of certain things as like being a means to that to an end, and I think sometimes what we really want out of a situation is healing, even if we don't realize it. Like, um, the all the ones you mentioned, of course, like yoga. I'll add Reiki, dance,
Yeah,
any type of movement, like going to the gym, brushing your hair can be a moment for healing. Giving yourself a shower can be a moment for healing. Cleaning your house can be a moment for healing. There's ways to integrate all of these things into our lives. I actually wrote an article about it on my website not long ago. Uh, and it's an infinite amount of ways. But one thing that I'm still learning to do more, and I want all of us to like work on and give ourselves an opportunity, is not only like do we give ourselves love when we give ourselves a shower, when we change our clothes, when we like brush our teeth. Giving yourself love is important, but let other people give you love too. You know,
yeah.
like maybe you have a platonic friendship where you brush each other's hair sometimes, or just something like really simple to give each other this like affection and care. Spending money on self-care, whether it's a massage, you get a Reiki session, you get an astrology reading, a psychic reading, and of course, like get these from people you trust and you feel comfortable with, who will have your best interest in mind, and just using your money for self-care in a way that creates an opportunity for someone else to give you love. I think even when we pay someone else to make our coffee for us, that's someone else doing something for us. And if we have like a little bit of a relationship, like some interaction with the person who makes our coffee for us, that can be healing. Then it's not just like some stranger that you didn't care about who made your
It's
coffee.
an act of service. Yeah,
Yeah, having a
And it's
relationship.
also an energetic exchange. So
Yeah.
you're that's where that frequency thing comes
And
into
even
play
at
as
the
well.
grocery store, you can have a relationship with the person who rings up your groceries. And I know not everybody's
Mhm.
always in the mood for talking, whether it's like the customer or the person working there. Sometimes we just need some quiet, but just give ourselves more opportunities for healing and see all the opportunities for healing that are there before us. Um, and prayer and any religion and positive thinking, I think it's important to realize that religion has psychological effects on us. So even if we're not sure what exactly we believe in, participating in a religion can help us uh, reframe our thoughts and everything that's going on internally.
yeah. I'll say that applies to a lot of people. Some of us not so much with the religious trauma, but I do definitely agree with what you're saying. Yes, I like that. Thank you, Penny. All right, Walter. What about you?
I think the best ways to get to heal is that's the question, right? I apologize. I got Mars and Gemini and Mercury
You're
and
fine. Y'all
Aries.
both do. Y'all both do.
Another thing that we're talking about the things in common, right? So
And
I
they're
think that
conjunct. They're conjunct. That's right.
I think the best way is to get back to self. Everything starts, the root is you. You are the seed that was planted into your this reality. This reality is yours. Therefore, you have to take accountability for that when you're able to. You have to be conscious of your life. And the best way to do that, you guys both said amazing things that I fundamentally agree with. The journaling, the self-care, having that reciprocal understanding of the people are people, like they're just like you, and that they have feelings and emotions, and but you have to see that within yourself first. And I think that, so the thing I would say to really, if you're looking to really work on yourself, is to value yourself and know your self-worth, and that starts immediately with you. You determine the value of who you are, and you present that out into the world. And it doesn't matter where you have come from, no matter the trauma that has faced you. We all have been impacted by trauma, and we will continue to be impacted by trauma. Trauma does not go away. The whole world had a pandemic. That was the entire world in a traumatic state. And ultimately, you have to be able to work on through with that trauma. And the best way to do that is to be self-aware of yourself. And the best way to do that is by knowing your worth and your value. Because if you do not know your place in this world, which is infinite and abundant with love, then you're not going to really be able to see anyone else but alone yourself. And when you're in the shadows, entities will creep on you. I think the best way to say it. Oh, I would also say that one thing that is very important is everybody's looking to get their needs met, right? In the external world, you really don't get your needs met by anybody else or any situation else. That's really a want because the needs rely on you. You know what you need, and it's for you to go out and get those needs within yourself first. Because again, if you don't pour your own cup, who's going to pour it for you?
Thank
It's
you.
so
I love that. I
interesting.
love that.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear each of our unique perspectives, knowing our astrological placements and, how we all have different ways of healing.
I, I mean, I don't go by equal chart. I'm Team Placidus. So
I'm
my son is in
saying
the third house,
equal.
Chris. My son is in the third house, Chris. Thank you.
Let me
I'm just
flop my ego and say screw Plaza. I'm just
I'm
playing.
just playing. I'm just playing. But no, but that's the beauty, right? That's the beauty and the essence of this is that we can all do, our own way, our own path, because we're our own individual consciousness. I think though, you guys didn't agree with the death chart situation. I agree. Everybody is going to be able to have to find their own way and go their own way. But it's about intention. That's what I think the key focus to this whole thing of life is that within the choices that you're able to make, what is your intention? This is what I'm saying about the people that are inexperienced because they're not doing the self work. They're not doing the work with their trauma, right? They're not doing the work how to do to find themselves, aka I'm not self-aware. So if I'm not aware of myself, I'm not aware of you. So I'm going to hurt you, and I'm not going to understand how that hurt feels on you because I haven't been hurt that way. Because I've been hurt with my trauma, but I've processed it. So if I've been hurt this way, then maybe I'm going to hurt you and I'm not going to care. But maybe that is going to impact me because I do care subconsciously, right? Or else I wouldn't have vibrated to that situation. So I think that in the end of the day, it really falls back onto the self, and you are the key to your destiny in your life, and you are a miracle. That's just, life is a
It's not
gift.
frequency. It's frequency. You're right. You're totally right.
But I mean, at the end of the
It's
day,
what you're
you
attracting.
you are your ultimate goal. You're a miracle. You just existing as the face that you are is the most beautiful opportunity because this is the experience.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that would crave for some of your time in life to continue on with their own. You know what I
Oh,
mean? So
that's just what a Leo wants to hear. Too.
yeah.
Are you gonna
But
do
I,
our
it's
Are
a,
you gonna do our card poll? You said you were gonna do our card.
yeah, I got the cards here.
Yeah, I
So
still have to do y'all's archangels.
I'm gonna pull a card. I'm gonna shuffle. I'm gonna start with you, Chris. So let's see. Cards for Chris. And two cards. Wisdom. Hold one card, please. Yes, one card.
I was
Aha, you got
afraid we
two.
would have no content, but we have a lot of content. Go ahead.
So what I'm getting right now, Chris, is that you're in a period in your life where you're blooming. You got the inner child. I feel like you've done a lot of work on your inner child, but because I see this blue and this green, it's really about you speaking your heart's truth, right? You've been working on speaking from authentically from the heart. And this is really it's really allowing you to bloom again, see the flowers full here where the hummingbird's coming to it. So I definitely think your faith is deepening and it's really leading you to a brand new path where you're looking this heart is wide open. So again, I'm going to go back to Penny's reading because I feel it in these cards too. You are manifesting somebody amazing, and it's because you've been doing the work on your inner faith, your inner child, and your intuition will know with your heart that who to give your love to and who not to.
I'm sorry, that hummingbird refreshes shifting. Um, okay, thank you.
All righty. And now just 1 second. Let me clean the shards. Your turn, Penny.
Yay, my turn.
It's exciting. We haven't done this in forever. It's just like honestly, it's such an honor. It's really an honor that we're even able to do this tonight. I know
And by
Crystal
the
and Carolyn are not
yeah,
with
no,
us,
no,
but
no,
they're
no,
with
no.
us in spirit.
But listen, y'all. So when I start my Archangel readings, I do have Crystal and Carolyn included, but I'm gonna start with the collective Archangel that needs to help everyone. So just putting that out there. Go ahead.
And now I feel like I should have pulled a card for them. But what? Y'all need to show her.
This is interesting, right? Is that I asked for one card, I got three for you, Chris. I asked for
Oh my
one card for
God,
you, Penny. I got three cards, right? So wait,
I'm
that's
really
13,
being
13.
recorded.
Yeah, so it's cool, right? Like so which is double threes, right? Haha, I'm like half 33. Anyways, so you got intuition, you got invite help, and you got clearing. So I feel that you are definitely at, ooh, I love this card. And especially from everything you shared with us today and everything about your practice with your faith and deepening it and your religion is that it's you got energy clearing. And it is with oh my gosh. It says as the two are rising, it is easy to let you go, to let go. You start to trust more and always arrive. So you shift from mind to God's, such freedom. So I really think that you are fully doing the work and it is really starting to, Kenny, you know where you're going. You already know. Like your intuition's on fire and they're saying that really, if you need extra help, to call upon your spirit guides and your team, whatever your faith is, or individuals in your religious community. However you practice your faith, invite help. And you're going to be attracting the most positive help in the situation. That's what it's coming from me.
Thank you.
I hope that
Okay.
resonated.
I'm sorry, my AirPods died, and I'm like having to put my light up.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
I think I can do this real quick. Hold on. All right, so we'll start with the collective. The collective, you got Michael, protection. The collective needs to protect themselves. Call, and here's the thing about archangels. You have to ask them. You cannot just expect them to help you. You have to literally pray to them. So collective, you got Michael for protection, to protect you. Penny and I got the same archangel, Archangel Chamuel, who is of unconditional love. And I'll take a look at that.
Ooh, I
Right.
wonder why.
We need to focus on relationship assignment. All right. So when
Should
Chamuel
be
comes her I don't have much battery, Walter.
okay.
When Chamuel comes up, it's a powerful time for us to show up in connection and community. Know that every relationship is an assignment. It's important to say that the universe won't intentionally put toxic or abusive people in your life, but it's a presence of love. But it will give you opportunities for learning and life experience. And it's the challenge you face in relationships, whether they are platonic or romantic, that bring the real lessons. All right, so Walter, you got Uriel, Oriel, however you want to say it. Learning experiences. Take time to review, study, and hone your knowledge before proceeding any further. So make sure you're understanding before you speak out. That came out kind of. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if you do.
Yeah,
Okay. It's time to take an inventory of your life. Recognizing where you are and how far you have come is essential for the next stage of your evolution, is what Uriel wants you to know. And Uriel's awesome. That's
Wow.
the
Thank you,
that that's
Chris.
that's the Uranian archangel, and the Aquarian archangel. All right, so for Crystal, we pulled Hope, which isn't necessarily an archangel, but it's a kind of opposition, not opposition, but counterpart of Archangel Gabriel. And it's the angel Amethyst, which is metamorphosis. And Crystal, if you're watching, which you better be, you are in a vortex of deep transformation. Surrender to the process that's unfolding. All right, Carolyn. I totally read that backwards. Carolyn, that's your message. I'm gonna redo that. I'm gonna edit this out. All right. Carolyn, you got Angel Amethyst, who is related to Archangel Zadkiel, and her message to you is metamorphosis. You are in a vortex of deep transformation, so surrender to the process that's unfolding. Now, Crystal, I got the Angel of Hope, who isn't necessarily an archangel, but is the counterpart of Gabriel. Authentic reclamation. It's time to call back all the lost parts of yourself, Crystal. And Mars is about to be in Leo, so you better freaking get it. I'm sorry, I had to run through that.
Thank you,
Y'all,
Chris.
you're welcome, but please y'all
Thank you,
understand
Chris.
if you want help from these archangels, you've got to ask them. You've got to pray to them. They don't have the free will to just come in and help you. You have to ask them. So Penny, you and I got Chamuel. And Walter, you got Uriel. Carolyn and Crystal got not necessarily archangels, but kind of counterpart angels, Amethyst and Hope. So Amethyst was for Carolyn and Hope was for Crystal. So just trying to speed that up. My AirPods are gonna die again. I'm just trying to talk real fast.
Okay. Love you guys. It was so nice having this talk.
I know this is
Yes.
awesome.
We got to definitely do this more often. Be fun.
Yeah.
We could do a series.
For sure. I love y'all so much. Thanks for joining and
You guys.
peace out, y'all.
Many blessings to you all.
Bye.